Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series here at Kansas Speedway with the Goat Locker Racing Series. And folks, this is going to be a fantastic race here tonight at Kansas Speedway. My name is Jake Reeves. Got Dean Biggles up in the booth, also giving us these cameras, but we got a new face here with me calling the race tonight, Mr. Blake Lothian, who has some experience in these trucks, as me and him were talking about earlier before we got on the broadcast. Not necessarily on a mile and a half, but he has had some experience. And folks, what I mean by that experience, I mean real, not virtually real. Being in a real NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And Blake, how are we doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always great when you're up in the booth and having a little different perspective of things, to say the least. But like you said, having that perspective of on track, and then not just that, having thousands upon thousands of laps on the sim Kansas Speedway as well.
Yeah, Kansas Speedway, a fantastic track and very multi-groove, way different than what we ran last week at Watkins Glen. And you know, we talked about that last week. Me and Dean Biggles talked about that last week. That, you know, Watkins Glen, it's a good road course, but Dean kind of liked the road course aspect of it because he's kind of got that open wheel background. Me, on the other hand, I'm kind of that old school, I guess you could say, the old school NASCAR side of stuff, like back in the 80s, you know, with Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, even some of the newer back in the early 2000s, like Dale Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, all that kind of stuff. But now we're coming to Kansas, this track right here. Multi-groove. You can go high, you can go low, you can go in the middle. Blake, you just said, I mean, you've ran some laps here on the sim. Where would you prefer to run, the bottom, the middle, or all the way up against the fence?
Oh, it all depends. All depends on the tire life and how the track is handling right now. The track temp is 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So, it's a pretty warm track. You see some drivers, some of the fastest times throughout practice were set along the bottom of the racetrack. I think it might have changed towards the end of the session. But it all depends on how your tires are feeling, where your confidence level is as well.
And up top's going to be really of what me personally, Blake, I think the top side would probably be where the faster laps is going to be, which is usually what we see at a mile and a half with guys able to get runs. But, you know, that's obviously going to burn that right front tire, as I've mentioned in the past, in the past broadcasts in the past. It's going to burn that right front a whole lot more, and it's just going to absolutely get you so tight to where you're going to get in the fence. But with risk comes reward, and this should be an absolute fantastic race. These folks right here that are tuning into this right here, they're going to be in for one hell of a show.
No, 100%. And I'm looking forward to, typically Kansas Speedway tends to have some bigger incidents. So that's something also to watch out for. Historically in some of the Cup races, we've seen big or heavy impacts on the back straightaway here, and on the front straightaway, we've had some big wrecks as well. So that's something to watch out for as well around this 1.5 mile racetrack.
And another thing to really watch out for with these guys driving in these trucks, and Blake, as you know this, there's going to be a lot of drafting. It's going to be a lot of momentum. It's going to be about slingshots. It's going to be, especially within the first handful of laps, let's say 5 to 10 laps is where you're going to see a lot of the drafting aspect. But just as you mentioned, the tire wear is going to come into play. And then obviously, like you said, with the wrecks, I mean, this is kind of, I guess you could say, a little bit like Atlanta, but not dead on like Atlanta. Obviously, not with the Super Speedway package, but I mean, the draft is going to be here tonight at Kansas, and we can't wait to get this thing going. As from what I'm seeing right here, for qualifying, the top 13, 14 drivers, actually, you could put it all the way back to the top 16 trucks. Everybody basically separated by about 0.3 of a second. You take the top 10, they're all separated by 1/10 of a second. So qualifying times very, very tight right now, as it looks like Brandon Evans, who has won a race this season, he is locked into the playoffs from winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and looks like that's Cody McElwain, who is second. Folks, if you joined us last week, McElwain basically put on a, well, we'll call it what it is, a whooping on the field at Watkins Glen. I mean, he went out there, dominated the race, locked himself. I believe he is running full time, so he would have locked himself into the playoffs. And then that really just jumbled the whole playoff field. And we're going to try to get you maybe some playoff points or the playoff grid as we get closer. But here we go. Everybody's getting ready to get gridded up, so we'll go ahead and get this bad boy fired up. Starting on the pole is going to be Brandon Evans in the McConey Setup Shop truck, and then right beside him is going to be, like I said, last week's winner, Cody McElwain. Right behind them, Patrick Drabick and Jeremy Gardner. Gardner having 3 wins on the season, looking to finally get some momentum and get back to a track where he is feeling very comfortable. He will start in 4th. Jake Ellingson needs a fantastic run tonight. Hopefully he can get it. Good start for him. He'll be in 5th with Jamie Mullins sitting in 6th. Ryan Pendleton will be 7th with Robert Barber in 8th. Charles Fiskus 9th, and Eddie Smith. This is kind of new for us. Eddie Smith actually coming out here and qualifying. Usually Eddie Smith's starting in the back. He's gonna roll off 10th. You, Blake.
11th will be Trevor McGinnis, starting in that number 9 machine. 11th place will be Trevor McGinnis. 12th place will be Scott Hermosa in the number 80 Chevrolet Silverado. Joe Yankees in the number 87 Chevrolet Silverado. James McCaughlin starting in the number 25 machine. 15th will be Doug Emerson. 16th, Alex Cruz. 17th, James Gosselin. 18th, Ryan Perkinson. I believe 20th will be Nicholas Lemire.
Looks like we got another guy that we thought it was only going to be about 20 trucks out here, but John Anthony, the last truck to didn't even really take a time. I mean, he's just going to start tail end Charlie. But, I mean, Blake, I mean, this is, the first race, obviously, broadcasting with me, but this is something that's completely blowing my mind is the one truck, which is the Victoria's Secret truck. We've talked about it a lot, and honestly, best looking truck in the field, I got to be honest with you. Eddie Smith, usually starting at the back. Here he is going to start 10th. Actually went out there, put down a qualifying lap, didn't do too bad. You see the Victoria's Secret Toyota right there, looking very fantastic, if you will. And once again, folks, if you have seen me in previous broadcasts, you know I'm 100% with Victoria's Secret, just not their prices. But here we go. Pace truck has pulled off. Leave them in the hands of Brandon Evans, and Evans is going to get the green flag. We are underway here at Kansas as Brandon Evans all the way down to the bottom. Cody McElwain up top. Patrick Drabeck, Jeremy Gardner right behind them as they're looking like they are basically in pace formation, maybe even going 3 wide as they come off of turn 2.
Field in high-speed pace lap formation here down the back straightaway, side by side. The 87 leaning on each other into turn number 3.
Evans all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, jumps right down in front of Patrick Drabeck. McElwain's going to jump back up to the top side, see if he can keep it up there. Got to be very careful coming off of turn number 4. You can easily stuff it in the fence, cause a big stack up, and then you can cause a hell of a wreck here at Kansas, as Blake was mentioning. But right now, Evans still has hold of the lead. Drabeck now down to the bottom, trying to get up to his back bumper, maybe even a challenge for the lead as they hit the back stretch.
Down the back straightaway they go. Ooh, maybe a little bit of contact further back in the field, but side by side for the race lead into turn number 3. Down all the way to the inside along that white line, painting it, nearly sliding up, going to clear and take the race lead off of turn number 4, head back towards the front straightaway.
Drabeck pulls the slide job, and new leader at Kansas, Patrick Drabeck. But I'll say this, Evans is not happy about that. He's going to jump it down to the bottom. McElwain stays up top. Right behind him, Jeremy Gardner. He looks like he jumps to the bottom as Ellingson back there as well. But Drabeck getting the momentum. And here comes Cody McElwain as they go into 3.
McElwain looking to the inside here. Even with the second place truck right now, side by side nearly. Let's see if we can get the run off of turn number 4 and slot back up in the line.
Here comes Jeremy Gardner right up into him. Almost gets into Jacob Ellingson. That's a battle for 4th right behind Brandon Evans. But up front, Drabeck, McElwain, both these drivers jumping to the top side. Evans down on the bottom. Ellingson, he's going to stay up top. Gardner right behind him. And here comes Ryan Pendleton up on the top side.
Right now the top 3 have broken away, kind of single file right now, but fourth on back. Those are blocked side by side. Even looking a little 3 wide back here coming off of turn number 4.
Fantastic racing to start this event, coming to lap number 5, and these guys have been literally scattered out just about as much as they was at the Phoenix Raceway for the NASCAR Cup Series. Everybody fanning out, trying to see if they can find a line, maybe try to jump in it, but right now it really looks like it is a top lane show right now. Patrick Trebek, Cody McElwain, Jacob Ellingson, Ryan Pendleton, and even Jeremy Gardner, I believe it is. No, he's the one that's on the bottom. That's Jamie Mullins, that's jumped up here, maybe even trying to crack inside the top 5, and that's exactly where he's at as they go into 1.
And 3 wide into turn number 1, almost leaning on each other right now. The 39 on the bottom, 42 in the middle, the 8 going to get a big run off of 2 down here on the back straightaway.
I mean, they are moving, they are grooving, they are rolling all around this place. The one driver that we're seeing slip back big time is Brandon Evans, as Formosa is going to get it in the fence. Formosa, one of the big movers early on here in this race, stuffs it in the fence. And Blake, that was something that I was talking about. These guys got to be very careful when they get up there in that top side. It's a risk versus reward. Formosa, he's going to end up taking the risk, gets into the fences. We got guys up there in the top 5 just pulling slide jobs all over the place here at Kansas.
This racetrack provides some beautiful racing as it's putting it on full display here this evening. Riding on board here with second place here, down the front straightaway we go.
Absolutely moving, grooving, rolling, as I was talking about, but everything seems very calm up here in this top 5. We'll make it top 4 now as Gardner jumps to the top side. Robert Barber down on the bottom trying to see if he can push Jamie Mullins along. But the top 3 guys look very consistent to stay up here on this top side. You can add Ryan Pendleton up there in the mix as well as he stays up on the top side. Basically, it is a top lane show, like I said, a top lane freight train, if you will, as they come off of turn 4.
I think they're just trying to take care of that rubber right now. It's a long race. Just kind of settle in and find your groove and try to save those tires for the end of this run.
Now Mullins, he's going to see if he can jump up to the top side, maybe see if he can get something going. Now Gardner, he was up top. He jumps back down to the bottom, right behind Brandon Evans, who started on the pole, sitting in 7th. And how about Alex Cruz in the number 5? Started 16th. He is up to 8th. Alex Cruz, we mentioned him, saw him in previous races back at Charlotte, he had a fantastic race at Charlotte, much like Kansas, a mile and a half, and one of those tracks where it's got a lot of speed and you can definitely burn some tires up. But Alex Cruz doing a fantastic job starting outside of the top 15. Now he's up inside the top 10, as it looks like Ellingson really starting to get some pressure from Gardner. Gardner tried to jump down. Here comes Ryan Pendleton on the top.
Ryan Pendleton with a big run here on the top. It's going to get a really, really, really big run here on the top. Carry all that momentum down the front straightaway, side by side. And this is something interesting about the Kansas Speedway. Some drivers like to go all the way down to the grass, to go all the way on that apron. It's flat. There's a little bit of a transition going back onto the racetrack. Some drivers tend to take it, some don't. It sometimes creates a little bit of an issue.
And that's something big to say right there. I mean, especially coming into next week's race at probably one of my favorite tracks out of all of them, the Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is going to be a fantastic race in general. As wow, looks like Ellingson stuffs it up in the fence. He's still in the fence. Gets hit by Formosa. Formosa gets spun. As they are scattering, they are slipping, sliding, damn near killing one another at the start-finish line. And we got a caution on the Speedway.
This will bring out our first yellow of the evening. Trying to see all that was involved there. That's going to be a tough end to the night for at least a few of these trucks.
Yeah, Ellingson, and we talked about that top side. Ellingson, it all started over in 3. Ellingson slipped just a little bit, jumped up to the top of the racetrack, kept it up in the fence. Then Formosa, he had absolutely nowhere to go in the 80 truck. Very unfortunate for him, who was moving up through the field big time, but then he ends up tagging Ellingson. Then he gets slammed, I believe that's by Joe Yates. You got the 85, you got the 25. A lot of guys over here. 87 almost went over on his lid. Looks like that was the 25 right there. James Kaufman also gets involved in this as well, but the 87 literally almost ended up on his lid. And the 87, Joe Yates, one of those guys right there at that cut line to try to make it into the playoffs. Not a good
Oh,
start right here for him. As you check it out right there, the 8 slips. That's Robert Barber right into Kaufman. Slides straight up into Yakes. All of it right here in front of Formosa. Big hit for Yakes. Yakes up on 2 wheels, if 3 wheels, if you can call it that. Maybe even up off all 4 wheels as he was riding the front bumper right here at the front straightaway. Kaufman right there in front of Formosa. I mean, it's just it, it's a product of this racing right here, Blake. I mean, it's like we talked about, risk versus reward. We love to see drivers get up there, hang it out up there on that top side, and it is what it is. But unfortunately, a bunch of drivers end up getting caught up in this.
no, 100%. And then you kind of almost see two separate incidents back here. If you wind it back just a little bit further, we can kind of see, I believe, the yellow truck, the 8, cut down, trying to avoid the truck on the top. And just, yeah, you see them all just kind of come together. They're all almost, they've already cleared the truck that's slow in the fence. And there's just kind of a separate incident just trying to check them and trying to get away from the one on the fence.
Ellingson was running in the 3rd spot before all of that took place. And as I mentioned, when they were gridding up, Blake, I mean, right there, Ellingson right there at that cut line, not having a very good showing last week at Watkins Glen, and then obviously getting caught up in this one right here. I mean, honestly, I don't think he had that bad of a deal. I mean, he got in the fence, got tagged by Formosa, but I think other than that, it looked like he got away scot-clean, honestly.
100%. I mean, luckily for him, like you said, he's getting away scot-free. It looks like maybe a little bit of aerodynamic damage, if anything, but looks like he'll be able to continue on relatively clean.
Folks, this is an absolute barn burner here this evening. Patrick Drabick, Jeremy Gardner, Ryan Pendleton, Jamie Mullins, Alex Cruz from 16th up to 5th. Check out Nicholas Limburger. Check that one out. 22 truck, 20th all the way up to 6th. And check out Doug Ellingson. How about a run right here for the number 58 Chevrolet? We've seen Doug be in a lot of hairy spots, I guess you could say, this season. Doug trying to do a lot, and then a lot of stuff doesn't go his way, but hopefully I'm not going to put the commentator's curse on him. And if I do, the family, I'm sure they're watching. They'll probably chastise me at that point. But Ellingson doing a fantastic job here tonight, sitting 7th. Ryan Perkins, 18th up to 8th. Daniel Kakil, 19th up to 9th. And Brandon Evans really going to have to find something right here on this restart, starting right there in that 10th spot.
Oh, 100%. I'm full believer of the commentator's curse. I'm not going to say, I hope no one wins here, because I believe that commentator's curse. I fell victim to it a few times here in the NASCAR Racing Series. But regardless, pace truck, lights out on the pace truck. Pace truck will come to the safety of pit lane here, take the hard left-hand turns. Field now in the hands of Patrick Dubrick, number 07 truck.
And they are waiting and waiting. Green flag is in the air. Wow, 17 back here did not get a good start. Ryan Perkins got caught sleeping. Ellingson and Evans going to try to go 3 wide as they go into turn 1. But Patrick Drabick has got a rear view mirror full of Ryan Pendleton. And check out Alex Cruz once again, 16th. He's going up to 3rd, trying to go for 2nd, maybe even go farther and try to get to Patrick Drabick for the lead.
And something interesting about Alex Cruz coming all the way from the back. He knows how to get around these trucks. He knows the line to pass. And we have a trouble in the back of the field here. One truck around. Yellow flag is out. I believe that is truck number 39. Brandon D. Evans is around once more. And that'll bring out the 2nd yellow of the evening here at Kansas.
Wow, that's unfortunate to see Brandon Evans. As you see right here, I mean, Ellingson, looked like Ellingson and maybe Perkins. Yeah, Perkins came down initially, started the contact, doored Ellingson, and then Ellingson basically, he was just trying to get the truck straight, jumped up into Perkins. Evans, a very unfortunate spot for him to be in. All this happening right in front of last week's winner, Cody McElwain, being able to squeak by right there. And then I believe that's the 85 right there that's able to sneak by. That's James Goshen, who won at the Richmond Raceway earlier on in the season. He's one of those guys locked into the playoffs, as Evans is too. But now then Goshen ends up getting into the fence as I say that. Blake, I'm telling you, I think you put the commentator's curse on me at this point.
No shot. I don't think it's on me, that's for sure. But like you're saying, the 85, I think he's just an innocent victim, just running the fence all by himself. The truck on the inside looked like he was, attempting to run the middle. Truck in the middle just misjudged where he was going to be, and just seems like kind of a racing deal in my eyes. But sadly though, that's going to damage the night of some of these trucks and some of these drivers here. And it's as the playoffs are looming, it's going to put some of these drivers in a hole. And we're looking here at the 6th of Cody McLean. Looks like he's going to get back rolling, but obviously with some damage here on the truck.
And, honestly, Blake, I mean, just to get a driver's point of view, and obviously, I'm a driver myself as well, but to get a more seasoned, I guess you could say, driver's point of view, would you rather, I mean, obviously you want to have this damage this early because obviously you got more time to go ahead and try to get it fixed, but I mean, you can't count yourself out at this point, right?
No, not at all. And with how this race has been going, I mean, the whole rest of the field could be involved in something for all we know. So you got to keep pushing. No matter if you've blown a motor, you got to go back out there, keep running. You have your sponsors on the truck. You got to keep going out there to make them happy as well. So I'd rather have it happen at the beginning so you can always have a correct recovery. But, it always is very disheartening to have a lot of damage at the beginning of these races.
And something also to mention to the folks at home, these guys do not have a fast repair. And fast repair, folks, basically what that is they basically go down pit road and they get a total reset. Everything that was on the truck, I mean, if the hood's gone, if the spoiler's gone, if the window's gone at that point, everything. I mean, yeah, if the engine's completely blown, brand new truck, brand new everything. I mean, obviously not tires, they have to take those, but everything with damage on the vehicle, whether that be under the hood or on top of the hood, all of it would get fixed. But these guys do not have that luxury to have that with them, as they do not have any fast repair. So you see a bunch of drivers jumping down pit road trying to get it. Actually, folks, my mistake, they do have a fast repair limit. Now I'm just now seeing this for the first time in I don't know how long now. They do have a fast repair limit. They got one fast repair. So Blake, that honestly, that right there, that changes the whole game plan right there, honestly.
Oh, 100%. I mean, in that case, go out there, race real hard the first, half of the race. I mean, because you have that fast repair, you have that luxury to fall back on. So, say if you even, flip over whole 9 yards, you have that fast repair to lay back on. You can run as aggressively as you please, pretty much. Looks like here we are coming up back to Winter Green, going to be doubling up this time around, I believe.
And I'm sure we got a lot of fans at home are probably sitting there going, Jake, what the hell's wrong with you? Right? They gotta be saying that. But I mean, folks, that's the first time that I've saw it, because numerous races, I call numerous races throughout the week, and most of them, you don't even have a fast repair. Much like Blake Lothian, who has ran numerous races within the Nazareth series, they don't have any fast repairs. You get caught up in a wreck, you're pretty much either just praying and hoping that it's not as bad, or you basically just turning off the sim, turning off the PC, and basically going and getting you some supper and then going straight to bed.
Pretty much, and I've been on the bad end of that. Speaking back on the commentator's curse back at Daytona Road Course, we were having a pretty good night. Commentators were saying, looks like Blake's got this in the bag, and lo and behold, something ended up going wrong. But regardless, coming down the back straightaway into 3, field is doubled up, lights around the pace truck, and we're going green this time around.
Patrick Drabek, he will be still on that front row. Gonna have at 23 of Ryan Pendleton and Alex Cruz, he's putting on a fantastic show all the way up there in 3rd. Jeremy Garner will be 4th. Jamie Mullins will be 5th. Then you got Lemberger. You got Doug Ellingson, Eddie Smith, Charles Fiskus, and Daniel Creakle. That is the top 10 as we are green once again here at Kansas. Patrick Drabek goes through the gears. Ryan Pendleton stuck up on that top side. Alex Cruz, who has basically put on a march for the past 21 laps, if you will, as Pendleton starts to blink just a little bit, but Cruz on the gas pedal jumps right up in front of Patrick Drabek from 16th to 1st. Your new leader is the 5 truck of Alex Cruz.
Beautifully executed move by the 5 truck. Looks like the 42 of Jeremy Gardner trying to get in on that action as well, trying to find that slot between P2 and P3.
Jeremy Gardner won 3 races this season in that number 42. Basically, this is his style of racing, the 1.5 mile style, if you will. But here he goes, jumps down to the bottom. Now Gardner, he's going to try to pull the slide job. maybe, just maybe, Cruz got out of the gas, give him just a little bit of breathing room right there. Could have been disastrous right there, but Cruz knows this is a very early race. Slips back just a little bit. Now here comes Patrick Trebek down on the bottom for second.
And side by side off of turn number 4, leaning on each other a little bit here, trying to get that side draft. But like you said about the give and take early on in this race, you take note. As a driver, you take a little mental notes of you, try to chop your nose a little bit, taking advantage of you, and you're not going to be returning that favor later on at the end of this race.
Patrick Trebek still sitting in third. Ryan Pendleton right behind him. They get a side-by-side battle going on with Jamie Mullins. Check it out. Jeremy Gardner basically was snaking just a little bit going down into turn number 3. Tried to see if he could try to break that draft, and that was something that I was mentioning. But it does not look like it's going to look too good here as Cruz tries to go to the bottom. Gardner jumps down, makes the block. Cruz trying to jump up top, trying to find a way to see if he can get some momentum. Here he goes down into turn 1. Gardner down on the bottom. Cruz up top trying to carry the momentum. He's got the momentum. Will he go to the inside as they hit the middle of the backstretch? Cruz thinks about it, but does not take it. I mean, Blake, what are we thinking here? I mean, he's took numerous shots right here at Jeremy Gardner. What's the deal right here?
Right now, it seems like you're just trying to feel him out. You're trying to prepare for that end of the race stage here. But look, here we go, side by side for P2. It's like Patrick Dublik going to take position number 2 here as the P2 and P3. P1 and P2 go into the inside of the racetrack here.
And Trebek, I mean, he sat here and watched it. Cruz almost got into the fence, but he gets a fantastic run. Finally, he had enough of it. I'm telling you, I think he saw Patrick Trebek coming back there and said, look, if I'm going to take a shot at this, I got to go. But once again, puts Gardner up on the top side. Cruz down on the bottom. Here's Gardner. Now he's starting to carry some momentum. Blake, I think that's exactly what Cruz is thinking. He doesn't want to give up this top side because there's no way really to make a pass right now, or at least until the tires start to wear off.
No, 100%. I think track position is going to be really, really important here tonight. Just trying to hold on to that position and try to fight as hard as you can for tooth and nail for every position on track.
Alex Cruz still sitting in that second spot. He is one of the biggest movers in the field. Currently sitting second, up 14 spots from where he started, but he is not the biggest mover anymore.
Whoa, contact!
Wow, we got some spinners back here in the back. Good call on that. Jamie Mullins able to gather it back up. Everybody trying to take abrasive action to try to get around as McElwain jumps it all the way down to the bottom. But the one driver that I was talking about was the 22 of Nicholas Limburger. He has been the biggest mover of the field, as just as I say that. Now Cruz is going to be the biggest mover. They're swapping all over the place at this point, Blake. It's just, it's hell just to try to keep up with it.
It's pandemonium out here at Kansas Speedway. This track does not disappoint with the multi-groove racing. Drivers not even caring about tires right now, it looks like. I was expecting them to maybe ride for a little bit, but I've been watching a little bit further back about 10th on back. It's been a hornet's nest, 3-4 wide at time. And it looks like we're starting to get a little bit more competitive up front. The 8 truck going to take the lead off of turn number 4 commandingly as well.
This top lane is starting to kind of look like a little bit of a Talladega-style draft, if you will, basically led right now by the number 8 of Robert Barber with Alex Cruz right here in tow. Robert Barber just shot it straight down through there, jumped straight up to the top. Where in the world did Robert Barber come from? But Trebek is right behind Alex Cruz, Pendleton, and then Jeremy Gardner. Check this out, 3 wide back here with Jake Ellingson stuck in the middle, having to get out of the gas. Almost gets up into Jeremy Gardner, but check them out right here as everybody slipping, sliding, jumping around. These spots are jumping as fast as anything right now, with everything just going crazy right now. Guys going 3 wide, 2 wide, all over the place. Folks, this is the kind of racing that we love to see. This is the kind of racing that gets me fired up because it is absolutely fantastic racing out here right now.
Oh, 100%. Kansas Speedway will never disappoint. And something I'd like to note here, Robert was running about 4/10 faster a lap than Trevor McInnes in the number 9 Chevrolet Silverado. And I think this might be down to tire saving or a little bit of fuel saving. That might be what is causing all this chaos. Some drivers trying to save, some drivers trying to get the track position. It's a little mix of all different strategies right now.
I think, honestly, I'm sitting here to look back at some of the previous laps, if you will. Blake. I mean, you know, Robert, he jumped down on that bottom side. Looked like the top lane maybe stacked up just a little bit with Cruz, and I believe that was McManus, I believe it was, or actually that might have been Patrick Trebek, but the top lane stacked up just a little bit. Trebek tried to get out of the gas, didn't want to run Cruz over, and then that just opened the door for Robert Barber. As you see right here, Robert really starting to put down some lap times right now as Trevor McManus. He leapfrogs over Alex Cruz. I mean, they're slipping, sliding all over the place. I mean, folks, you cannot blink here at Kansas as you see Patrick Trebek way up into the fence, almost scrubbing into the fence to come off of turn 4.
And something to note with this new damage model in these trucks, I know it's been in for roughly a season now, but with the new damage model, it doesn't really affect the aero all that much anymore compared to seasons prior, where it would knock you down almost 2 or 3 tenths a lap with oblique contact with the wall. Some drivers are now able to get more aggressive with getting against the fence and try and take a little bit more advantage of it.
And from what I'm seeing right here on all of this, Robert Barber and Trevor McManus, they've actually went down pit road. They got fresh tires. Alex Cruz, Patrick Trebek, Ryan Pendleton, Jeremy Gardner, some of these guys, they have not went down pit road just yet. So Robert Barber, Trevor McManus, they're on the fresher tires of some of the competition that's behind them. And Blake, I mean, that's got to be exactly why Barber and McManus is out here just straight up leaving everybody. And this could really start to play into a big-time factor for later on here in this race.
Almost definitely be interesting to see how all these strategies end up playing out towards the end of this race, or in about 20-30 laps. It'll be interesting to see some of those older tired trucks, seeing if they pit earlier, trying to get an undercut, trying to take back some of that lost time here on the top 2.
Barber's starting to get out to a very commanding lead right now, about a 1.3 second advantage at the line, making about a 1 second advantage as McManus starts to try to get a little bit of a run. Then behind him, Alex Cruz sitting in that 3rd spot, about 2.5 seconds back. Then he's got Pendleton. Then he's got McElwain, Gardner, Eddie Smith, Jake Ellingson, Charles Fiskus, and Nicholas Limburger. All of them back here fighting for position, slipping, sliding all the way around this track. As most of the guys in the field are electing to take up here on this top side. Gardner, not one of those guys wanting to take it on top side as he jumps down to the bottom.
Ooh, and side by side here, down the back straightaway into turn number 3. That beautiful Victoria's Secret number 1 truck ripping the fence. Something interesting, though, I'd like to point out, I wonder if some desperation is starting to set in, seeing those 2 trucks pull away by roughly 2-4 tenths a lap. They're starting to panic, starting to try to close that gap, try and get that track position back.
They are trying to move as much as they possibly can up here. As we've read some of the comments for just a sec here. I mean, we're seeing Ray Ellingson, obviously one of the viewers that has been with us numerous times this season, obviously pulling for Jake and for Doug. And looks like she might have kind of went at me right here on this one. Kind of, Blake says, wow, I guess if you're an Ellingson, you get blamed for everything. No, ma'am, that is not what we're going at all, honestly. To be honest with you, I'm not real sure exactly what I may have said, but if we did hurt your feelings, we do apologize. But, I mean, Doug and Jake not doing too bad right now. As Jake actually from earlier on in this race, they got stuck in the fence and then had Formosa basically jam-pack him in the left rear. Ellingson not doing too bad, sitting up here in this 8th spot with Doug Ellingson back there just a little bit. The last one on the lead lap looks like he's trying to figure out, just trying to hold on with the best that he can. But I mean, the Ellingsons, they come out here to play, this evening, because Doug was up there inside the top 10 and making it look good earlier on here in this race.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, look towards the back of this field. I mean, it is just 2 by 2 by 2 and sliding up side by side, nearly contact and 3 wide at the stripe. This Kansas Speedway will never disappoint. Oh my goodness, and nearly contact into turn number 1.
Eddie Smith up top, got Gardner down on the bottom. Alex Cruz got basically in a sucker hole at that point. These guys back here, you mentioned it, that it's go time because all these guys are on the older tires. from obviously Barber and Trevor McManus. So that's exactly what I mean. It's go time at this point. Here it is. It is go time. Here comes Cruz. Almost misses the commitment cone. Here comes Jake Ellis. He comes in and actually tags him as they went into pit road. But check it out. We got a battle for the lead is all that's going on with Trevor McManus and Robert Barber. McManus up top getting the run. Barber trying to get away, trying to see if he can keep the side draft away, but not able to do it as they are side by side for the lead coming off of turn 4.
Like we said, Kansas Speedway does not disappoint. As we have green flag pit stops, a battle for the lead, and now a lead change. Trevor McManus will take the lead and lead this lap as we are still trying to figure out where everyone has cycled out from those pit stops. Who all did we see pitting? My goodness, just the strategy of this race and how this race is folding out. This is amazing to watch.
Fantastic racing, and that's exactly what you get here at Kansas Speedway. Patrick Drabik, Jacob Ellingson, Ryan Pendleton, Alex Cruz, James Kaufman, some of the drivers that is now just coming off of pit road already went in and got their service. And now, Blake, they're on the flip side now. Now they're on the flip side of Trevor McManus and Robert Barber. Some of these guys that have already went in, like Eddie Smith, Charles Fiskus, some of these guys that's already went in and got those 4 fresh tires earlier on. Now it's on the flip side. Now these guys is going to start trying to reel them in, but they got to pray right now that a caution doesn't come out, because if it does, it completely screws their whole strategy up.
100%. And with these drivers now on new, fresh tires trying to cut through all the old tires, it brings a heightened chance of a caution with all these different strategies interlocking and all these lap trucks trying to get their laps back and trying to make sure they don't get themselves into a hole.
Trevor McManus still leads as he jumped Robert Barber just a second ago. Cody McElwain not too far back. Eddie Smith, some of these guys, they've already went down pit road. Jeremy Garner, actually one of those guys, he has not made it down pit road yet all race long. So he's stretching this as much as he possibly can as you check out Alex Cruz, Jake Ellingson, Patrick Drabik, some of those guys, they've already went down pit road, already got their service done. And Blake, I mean, we talked about, the strategy about this, but, about 45 laps, give or take, that's what we're looking at on a full tank of fuel. So obviously we're going to probably see another pit stop from Drabik, Jake Ellingson, and them. These other guys up here, Trevor McManus, Robert Barber, some of those guys that are staying out right here, they've already went in and got that one stop, so they should be able to make it all the way to the end if I'm correct on that.
I think so, and something interesting to note is all of those drivers pitted at the same time, and after that we've only seen maybe about 2 or 3 trucks come in on them by themselves hit. So I wonder if they all decided on this lap to pit and had that strategy in mind from the beginning of this race, or what all that transpired into that.
Only time will tell. Honestly, Blake, only time will tell. We'll see what happens right here as we see a bunch of drivers slipping, sliding. Got a couple guys jumping into pit road right now.
Whoa.
Wow, big slide.
That looks like a hot entry.
Hot entry right there by Nicholas Limburger. Hopefully he will be able to get in and get out. But I'm telling you, Blake, you called it right there. Very hot entry. And folks, this pit road is very, very difficult. I mean, you're rolling around this track at a very good pace. Check it out. Trevor McManus getting into the fence. Robert Barber's going to slip by. He will take the lead. But what I was talking about a second ago, this pit road speed limit, 45 miles an hour. These trucks out here doing 180 miles an hour. That's got to be really nerve-wracking, I guess you could say, to basically drop about 130 miles an hour, 140 miles an hour, if you will, to try to get it all the way down and not speed on pit road.
Oh, 100%. And talking about speeding on pit road, I believe Nicholas has gotten a black flag for that pit entry. At least that's what my iRacing control is telling me. Not 100% sure that's not full up to date, but he might have received a black flag for that pit entry. And if so, that has definitely thrown a wrench in his strategy and in his schedule. But
that's exactly why. Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Blake, but that's why he was still on pit road. He has not been able to come off of pit road because he was speeding going in. If you were speeding coming out, you would have to come back down and serve a pass through. But if you get it on entry, you got to sit there in the box and you got to wait until iRacing says, okay, now you may go. And, I mean, he came in there really, really hot, and he was doing a fantastic job, obviously, up inside the top 10, but hopefully everything will play out for him. Still got a good ways to go right here about the halfway point. So anything's possible, Blake. I mean, we've seen it numerous times, not only in the Goat Locker Racing Series, not only in the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series, but, I mean, any type of racing that there is. I mean, you never can count anybody out, at least until the checkered flag falls.
No, never. And now look at this. We have a battle for the lead action all around this 1.5 mile super speedway, I like to call it, with how quick the speeds are and how packed up the pack tends to be. And talking about how tight the pack is, typically dirty air is a big factor on this racetrack as well.
Trevor McManus, he is under fire big time from Robert Barber, but don't look now. Last week's winner in the 6, Cody McElwain, up on the top side. He joins this battle as here comes the 23 of Ryan Pendleton. He's going to get stuck right in this. McElwain gets into the fence. Barber has to jump up, try to let Pendleton back around on the bottom. Here comes Patrick Drabick. These guys already went in and got fresh tires. Jake Ellingson not too far back as well, as these guys right here basically getting eaten up.
Tight here off of 2.
Big time, very tight coming off of turn 2.
And look at the truck behind getting a giant run to the inside, side by side, and he's going to get one more position as well, going to clear them both. I believe that might have been a lap truck with new tires, but still, look at the 6 getting that run to the inside here, going to get a run down the front straightaway. A little bit of a block here getting thrown by the 8.
And Trevor McManus wanted every bit of that. He was tickled to death, honestly, that Cody McElwain got up there, got to Robert Barber. Now McElwain able to slip past and grab the second spot. That's exactly what McManus needed, because he had both of those guys literally up his tailpipes, literally up his tailgate, and they were fixing to swallow him up and eat him out whole, basically, because McManus, we've seen him get in the fence. We've seen Cody McElwain get in the fence. We've seen Robert Barber get in the fence. Everybody, damn near everybody in the field has hit the fence at least once tonight, and that's what we love about Kansas, because it is so unpredictable here at this racetrack.
It really, really is. And look at all these trucks here. I mean, like I said before, the pit strategy is just all over the place. It's hard to kind of figure out who's going to be on the upper hand towards the end of this. And say yellow comes out, it just mixes up every little thing here in the strategy.
And one of the guys that I'm very eager to see if he can slip back up here, jump back up here in the middle of this, is that 5 of Alex Cruz. He's way back here in about the 14th spot. He honestly wouldn't mind a caution right now, because he is the first truck one lap down and got a pretty good gap over the guy behind him, being John Anthony, who was tail end Charlie on the field, if you will. Didn't even put down a qualifying time. I guess he just got here at the last minute. Started 21st. He's up to 15th. But Alex Cruz, the first driver one lap down on the field. And right now, I mean, you see a bunch of great hard racing going on all over the place right now, as Barber has finally got caught by Eddie Smith. Eddie Smith, one of the guys we talked about earlier in the broadcast, usually starts at the back of the field and tries to drive up through the field. Well, for the first time this season, Eddie Smith has qualified. He started in 10th. Now he's trying to go to the podium.
And look at him here trying that outside lane. He's going to get that run. It looks like maybe the 8's going to pit, possibly. And yep, pit stops are now underway for the trucks that pitted a little bit earlier.
McElwain's also one of them as well. McElwain goes in. Robert Barber, he's going to go in. Brandon Evans, he's going to stay out there with Jeremy Gardner as well. So, wow, I mean, everybody's got their own strategy that they're trying to get. As you see Ryan Perkins going in as well. Trevor McManus, I see him coming in here in the next couple of laps as well, because him and Robert Barber are somewhat on the same strategy. So I expect Trevor to go in here pretty soon, much like Eddie Smith. And then honestly, I mean, it's going to flip-flop as much as it can. But here's the thing. We talked about this. These guys, they just went in. Cody McElwain, he just went in. Those guys that just went in, they can make it to the end on fuel. Now, tires, it depends on how hard they drive the truck, but they should be able to make it on fuel. As you see Trevor McManus, I mean, he is all over this wall looked like he actually scraped it a little bit in 3 and 4. But, you know, Blake, I mean, this is the point right here where some of those guys, as we mentioned a second ago, McElwain going in, Barber going in, they got to be on full tire save mode at this point.
100%. And you can't be losing time at this point. You have to pit. You can't be losing time, net time, to the other trucks that are on your same strategy, unless if you're thinking save tire and beat them on the long run.
McManus all the way up to the fence. As you see, he actually gets into the fence, still riding the fence all the way through 3 and 4. And Blake, I mean, these turns, I mean, we see everybody jumping up to the top side. To me, I've raced here, you know, numerous times, and to be honest with you, I love this track. As we got a couple of guys going in right here. I believe that's Pendleton. No, excuse me, that's not Pendleton. That's is that Ellingson? No, that is Goshen that's going in. Goshen, the winner from earlier on in the season. He pits from 5th. But, you know, Blake, back to what I was saying, I mean, I love this track, but this track doesn't love me because I can't run the top for some reason here. I can run the top at numerous tracks like Auto Club or, you know, Charlotte. I mean, you know, and I can run the top everywhere, but these corners getting into 1 and getting into 3, they are way different. Just tell us about that.
They definitely are. It kind of seems like, you know, from a driver's point of view, it kind of seems like the wall just kind of tightens up a little bit on entry and on exit. Just sneaks up on you. As we see the 1 truck, I believe also the 5 truck possibly in the pit lane as well.
And that's Alex Cruz back there. He's going to jump in. That's Joe Yates. Cruz still out on the racetrack, but wow, I mean, everybody jumping in right now as you saw the Victoria's Secret jump in. Now Trevor McManus, he's going to jump down pit road and go ahead and get what could be his final stop of the race. Leaves Brandon Evans out there on the racetrack. Wow, I mean, topsy-turvy at this point, folks. I mean, honestly, if you're just following your favorite driver, you basically got an idea of when they pitted when we called it out. But here's Brandon Evans out here on the track. You see Robert Barber on the fresher tires. Evans almost throws him up in the fence. And, I mean, you know, Blake, this is normal Kansas right here. This is normal 1.5 mile strategy, saving tires. I mean, this is what the fans love to see right here. I mean, granted, fans love to see the beating, the banging, the slipping, the sliding, the wrecking, the probably people cussing out or whatever. But they love to see a strategy play out. As we got one driver all the way up into the fence, slammed it up in the fence. That's Daniel Kikil, 1 lap down back in 18th. But we are staying green out here on the racetrack.
But like you said, fans love this strategy race. And on top of that, there's different strategies playing out here. Some drivers separate about 20 laps in pit strategy, and we really have no idea how the pawns are going to fall to the end of this race. And it'll be interesting to see. And something interesting to kind of note, this is kind of like an IMSA style race with different, it kind of seems like different class vehicles catching up on each other for closing rates. And like I said before, it creates opportunities for yellows.
Brandon Evans still out there, basically got about a 19-second lead over Pendleton and Patrick Drabick. Both of those guys slipped past one another as Pendleton slipped past Drabick. And then you got Gardner back about 21 seconds back in 4th. That's where he started at on the evening. Jake Ellingson up there riding in that 5th spot. Looks like he has already made his final pit stop and what should be his final pit stop if our stats are correct. Then you got Alex Cruz sitting there in that 6th spot. Remember, he started 16th, saw him dive it to the bottom, slip slide all the way up to the front, and actually led for a good portion of this race. Right behind him, Cody McElwain won last weekend at Watkins Glen. Fantastic run for him. And I mean, he was putting on a show right there with Robert Barber earlier on in the race, and then Barber right behind him. But check it out, here goes Brandon Evans down for what could be his last pit stop of the race.
It's something big here with these green flag pit stops. Don't speed on entry. If anything, on exit, don't speed on exit as well, because you have to make a second trip back down pit lane, and do not overshoot that pit box.
Nico Slimberger would agree with you 100%, because that's exactly what happened to him earlier on in the race. And Ryan Pendleton started 7th. Now he is leading the field with Patrick Drabick. And now Gardner and Ellingson, he'll move up to the 4th spot. But I'm telling you, I mean, these guys racing, they're racing their hearts out. They're giving it all they got, trying to hold what strategy they can. This right here is about the closest battle that we're seeing on the track with Drabick and Gardner. As here goes Gardner, slips past Drabick. He will take the second place, and then not too far ahead of him. About a half a second, give or take. You see the battle right there on your screen. You see the intervals. He's coming. Jeremy Gardner won 3 races this season. Could be looking at a 4th one right here at Kansas.
And something to look at. Gardner has set the fastest lap time at a 31.125. He is flying around this 1.5 mile track at Kansas Speedway.
Gardner really starting to reel in Ryan Pendleton. Gardner, we've seen him up top. We've seen him down on the bottom, but mostly we've seen him on the bottom of the racetrack. This is one of those tracks, as we mentioned earlier, as you see the battle for the lead. Here comes Gardner, jumps down to the bottom. Pendleton going to keep it right up on the top, almost stuffs it into the fence. Gardner goes all the way down to the apron, tries to cut the track as much as he possibly can. Right back in behind him, Patrick Drabick holding on to 3rd. Here goes Gardner, dives it into 1. Maybe looking for the slide job as he comes off of turn number 2, slides right up in front of Ryan Pendleton. But Pendleton on the top side, going to try to get the run. Will he dive down? No, he's going to follow him as they go into turn 3.
It looks like he tried to dive down to the inside, wasn't really sure where Gardner was going to go, and ended up just selling for the middle to the top lane.
Fast-paced racing, folks. I mean, it's blink of an eye stuff, if you will. And here we go. Got another driver. He's going to slip in right here. Jacob Ellingson. He jumps in from about the 4th spot, so the 27 entry comes down, and this should be his last pit stop because he should be good on fuel, should be good on tires after this. But Ellingson going to jump in right here, jump back out there, try to see if he can get a leapfrog on some of these guys because they got extra tires. Honestly, Blake, I mean, they got extra sets of tires. As you see a bunch of guys going in, Pendleton goes in. Looks like that was Gardner. Gardner actually stays on the racetrack, but Drabick follows Pendleton down pit road.
And Drabick with a lockup entering pit. Hopefully he was able to match pit road speed on entry like we talked about earlier. With green flag pit stops and so many in this race, it's important to make sure you have that mark.
They go into the pits. Looks like Alex Cruz out there on the track as well. But Cody McElwain, he is sitting in second. Get about a 3.5 second deficit, if you will, to Jeremy Gardner, who just hit the line. See the guys on the track right now, McElwain, Barber. Saw them put on a hell of a show earlier on, and hopefully we'll be able to see them put on another one once again. But Jeremy Gardner, at this point, you know, Gardner's put on a great season. 3 wins, trying to look for 4th. This has got to be big, especially going into next week in Atlanta, which is the cutoff race. This has got to be big right now for Gardner to try to get as much momentum as he can as Trevor McManus stuffs it in the fence coming off of turn 4. But once again, Blake, it's got to be big right here to carry as much momentum as you can going into the cutoff race.
Oh, 100%. And with the cutoff race being a super speedway or a drafting style track, as some put it nowadays, with that being a super speedway style race, it's going to be even more important to have a great run here tonight and make sure you have a little bit of a buffer going to that cutoff race.
And that will be a fantastic race. Cannot wait to see that bad boy play out, as it looks like our leader, Jeremy Gardner, he's going to duck it down on pit road. McElwain will stay out. Robert Barber, he's going to stay out. McManus stays out. Eddie Smith stays out. So right now, looks like it's the only guy jumping down pit road right now. Jeremy Gardner eases it down pit road for what will be his last pit stop of the race. We will see how this thing plays out right here. It's looking at about 25 laps to go, folks. It basically, Blake, I mean, you know, we're right about that 20, 25 lap mark. Usually I ask this with my colleagues if we end up getting a caution and we come to a crazy restart. But who's your pick from what you have seen here this race? Who's your pick to win this whole thing?
Oh my goodness, I always stray against making picks because of the commentator's curse, so... Oh my goodness, I'm just going to go with...
I've been there before, just go ahead, just make a pick.
Alright, I'm going to go with Gardner. I think that's one of the safe bets to make. I mean, looking at some of the lap times as well, with him being one of the fastest truck on the racetrack, and him coming out now with fresh tires, I think he's my pick for the win. How about you?
It's tough. Honestly, I mean, we've seen a lot of fast drivers out here. We've seen McElwain, we've seen Barber, we've seen Eddie Smith out there as well. Trevor McManus, he's pulled some crazy strategies right now. But if you're going by speed, it's got to be Jeremy Gardner. If we're going by strategy, I'm thinking Trevor McManus, honestly, because Trevor, he pulled some crazy strategy that just come out of absolutely nowhere. I mean, he stayed out longer than everybody. So McManus could be in the catbird seat, but I say it's between, him and Jeremy Gardner right now. At least that's from what I'm seeing right now.
And then, of course, if the yellow comes out, all that goes out the window. So that's the interesting thing about motorsports and racing in general.
So Cody McElwain right now still has the lead. Robert Barber about a half a second back. As you see him right here, actually coming off of turn number 4, McElwain. Not too much of a huge gap. McManus about 3 seconds back. Eddie Smith 4 seconds back from the leader. But McManus caught him, I mean, basically got a very good run right there. He's starting to slip up to these guys pretty good. So McManus, as I mentioned, he may be in that catbird seat, but you see a lot of these guys, Drabick, you see Pendleton, all those guys just now coming back around to unlap themselves on the racetrack. So, and then you see here comes Jake Ellingson right here. He's going to jump by, try to unlap himself. And, I mean, we talked about Jake. We talked about some of the races that he has had, and it's just been unfortunate races. We talked, about Nashville, where, he had 2 races, or basically 2 wrecks at the first start of the race. And then he ended up, I guess you could say, causing them, but he ended up getting into those wrecks, and it was an unfortunate night for him. Being right there at that cutoff line, Ellingson has been up there in that top 5. This is the kind of race that he needs. He needs to get him a top 5. He ain't got to win it. If you want to, you can win it. Obviously, hell, that'd take the playoff points out of the way, but get you a solid finish.
Whoa, contact!
Get to Atlanta and try to hold on to it, as we got some slipping and sliding back here as I was rambling around. Brandon Evans back there slipping and sliding around with some of these guys. Charles Fiskus. Got Joe Yates up here. A lot of guys up here just slipping and sliding, trying to hold on for everything that they got.
And not just that, and that was nearly our yellow with 20 to go, and that would have obviously changed the aggression level through the roof. But I was looking at the chat here. Ray was saying, hoping Cody wins this race, and it'd be interesting to see, like I said, how all this strategy plays out. As we're riding along with Patrick Dubick here, trying to get a run.
And folks, we love to talk with the fans, love to talk with everybody that joins us on these Thursday nights and watches all of this fast-paced racing, all this lightning-fast racing, as you see Eddie Smith right now trying to find a way around Trevor McManus. But, if you're viewing on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're viewing at, go ahead and give Nazareth 360 a like. Go ahead and give them, subscribe to all the pages, the Facebook pages, the Twitter pages, the YouTube, all that stuff. And, if you're watching, we love to interact, as we've been interacting, with Miss Ellington tonight as well. So, I mean, we've been, we love to interact with the fans, because that is the great thing about the sport is, check it out. We may end up getting this caution that we was talking about, Blake. Eddie Smith, Trevor McManus, just all over one another. Trevor actually gets out of the gas and lets Eddie slip right back by him.
So I'd say watch to see if Trevor drives in a little bit deeper this time around after that contact. But like you said, I mean, if we get this yellow, this race will get turned on its head.
And as I was mentioning before, they made me jump out of my seat, if you will. I mean, we, like I said, we love to interact with the fans, so bring them comments in, tell us what you're thinking, tell us, if, I mean, obviously y'all know that I love the Alabama football team, go ahead and shout out your college football team if you want. I mean, in the chat, I mean, we love to interact with the fans, love to interact with everybody that comes out here and supports these drivers and watches them on a weekly basis. So go ahead and shout out in them comments, and we'll try to read a couple of them on the air. But going back to the battle for the lead right now, Robert Barber, he's starting to slip ever so closely, trying to reel in Cody McElwain. You see the gap right there on the screen. Cody McElwain just went into turn 1. Barber just now coming into turn one. You see it. He sees the leader at this point. Blake, what's going through his mind right now?
What's going through his mind is once you see that leader, you know you're catching up to. You're one of that leader's going to start making mistakes. If that leader's going to start changing the line a little bit, like I brought up earlier, that dirty air. Cody starts running a little bit lower where Robert's running. How is that going to affect this truck? Is it going to affect the air balance? It's going to make him tighter or looser. What's it going to do? Make him get out of his element. Make him run different spots. Make him run where he hasn't run all night, and try to make him force him into that error or that mistake to make him fall back.
And that's one of the big things about these trucks being aero dependent, much like the next gen cars that can really throw a race on its head. I mean, it can basically throw whatever strategy you had out the window, as air really does play a big time factor in motorsports nowadays. But Cody McElwain, that was Ray Youngston's pick right now. Looks like he has got it locked up for now as he starts to just barely start trying to get away from Robert Barber right now. Eddie Smith, who got away from Trevor McManus, he's still sitting in third. McManus is sitting in fourth. Evans sitting in that fifth spot. Charles Fiskus, he is riding in sixth. Joe Yates. Then Goshen, and we got a caution on the Speedway.
Oh
Blake.
My goodness.
Wow, that right there will turn this race. Oh man, this is going to be a frenzy all the way to the end.
Oh my goodness, and this is big damage to... Cannot tell what number that is there. Is that the...
That's the 58, Doug Ellingson.
Oh, it looks like he just had a moment in the middle of turns 3 and 4. I haven't coming across the seam, or was this something to do with the truck behind him?
Wow. It's in turn 3. You'll see it right here as Goshen slips past him right here. Check this out, folks. And, you know, these trucks, they are not easy to drive here at Kansas. And, you know, Blake, it honestly looks like he might have caught the seam when he was going into the corner. And you know as well as I do, these seams, when, you know, you straddle on them seams, it will straight up snap the truck sideways. And it looked like he was fixing to snap it sideways, tried to jerk it back to the right to try to correct it. And then, honestly, it looked like the tires just grabbed and then, bam, straight up into the fence.
That's what I was about to say. And then on top of that, as we ride on board, it's also right when he kind of gets in the dirty air wake. Right there, he gets into the dirty air, and you see the handful of opposite lock trying to catch it. By the time he starts turning back to the left, it's too late. But it looks like we have trucks on pit road. Eddie Smith, Brandon, man, we have a lot of trucks on pit road, and this is going to change everything.
I expect just about everybody really to go down pit road right there, but one driver staying out, two drivers staying out, three drivers staying out, bunch of drivers staying out. Eddie Smith led a bunch of them down pit road, but Cody McElwain, Robert Barber, and Trevor McManus, they elected to stay on the racetrack. So, wow, that right there, I mean, Blake, what are we thinking here? I mean, I would have at least went in and got at least about 2 tires off of this right here.
My thing is with 2 tires, I mean, it changes the balance so much. If you take just rights, it drastically changes the handling of the vehicle. And on top of that, if you don't take fuel with, you know, how few of laps that are left, that also changes the balance to something you've never run, probably even throughout all practice. So if you're going to stay out, or if you're going to just take rights, you might as well just stay out, in my opinion. So it's, you know, we've had different strategies all throughout the race. Looks like we might have some other trucks here. No, we will not. But this is going to be quite entertaining to see how this restart transpired.
And Blake, talk me through this right here, because I mean, you know, in my opinion, and even the viewers' opinion at home, they would think, well, you know, even though, I mean, it's 2 tires, I mean, that's still grip out here at this racetrack, because obviously, you know, they've been out here, I mean, dogging one another at this point. I mean, they're doing everything they can, but wouldn't like a little bit of grip be
100%.
better than no grip?
100%, but like I was saying, how it just disrupts that balance so much to the point where you haven't driven something like that all day. It might make it drastically looser or tighter. So it might just, you know, make it a handful. But something I just saw in the chat, Brandon Evans said there's only 2 sets in the pits. So some of those drivers that stayed out might have already taken all the sets they have, and they have no other choice. There's no set on iRacing to take scuffs or anything like that. You can't glue up another set of scuffs and put them on. You're stuck with what you got.
Wow, that may be what it is. So some of these guys that jumped in got tires. The first one that jumped off of pit lane was Eddie Smith. Looks like he's going to be sitting in a pretty good spot. He looks like he's going to line up in that 8th spot with Brandon Evans in 9th. And then Joe Yates back there as well. See James Kaufman, also one of those guys that got involved in an earlier accident. Looks like he's back out there, got that bad boy lined up right here. And I mean, we're looking at some of the guys, that, have big moves. Obviously, Trevor McManus started 11th. He's all the way up to 3rd. You got some other drivers that have had some big moves, like James Goshen started 17th. He's up to 12th. Wow, I mean, we got movers all over the place here at, Kansas. But I'm telling you, Blake, this is gonna be a ride right here all the way to the finish. Coming to 9 laps to go when they take this green flag. What are we expecting to see right here?
So something I'm expecting to see here is the pinch points off of turn 2 and off of turn number 4. If some trucks with newer tires get to the outside late on the corner exit, it's going to be hard for those trucks with old tires that are running a little tighter. It's hard to lift enough to give them space, and there might be a little bit of a crash there off of turn 2 and off of turn 4 is what I'm watching for.
So you're calling for a wreck. Is that what we're calling for here?
Oh, I wouldn't say I'm forecasting it, but the winds are starting to veer in that direction.
As you see the clouds back there, maybe a storm brewing right here, folks. This is going to be a fantastic finish right here. It's been a fantastic race all the way to the end. We'll see how it all plays out as the pace truck comes off of turn number 4. Ducks down on pit road. Cody McElwain, Robert Barber up front, Trevor McManus in 3rd with Ryan Pendleton right beside of him. Green flag in the air. McElwain gets away very, very good. Barber, not the restart that he wanted. Trevor McManus may try to get up to the door and challenge for 2nd as they go into 1.
Side by side through turns 1 and 2. Here we go, coming off of turn number 2 is what I'm watching for. 3 wide for 4th position. Everyone will somehow keep it straight for now.
Wow, still moving around all over the place, trying to get whatever they can. And check out that one truck right there, Eddie Smith, the first one to go in and get tires. As Barber gets stuck in the fence, he gets into Smith, gets into Gardner. Big pile up right here at the start-finish line. Barber gets involved. Gardner gets involved. Eddie Smith gets involved. A bunch of drivers getting caught up in this accident right here at the start-finish line. Blake, you called that right there with all the pinching and all the hard, aggressive racing. You basically called it right there. You basically forecasted it right there. Big pile up right here at the start-finish line.
It's a shame to see, especially at the end of this race. You race so many laps. You're racing side by side with all these trucks all night. You think you know what you can expect with some of them. And, sadly, sometimes it'll result in a wreck, especially with a yellow with this few laps left. But let's take a look at what caused this here. We have the 8 side by side here. We'll get pinched into the middle. Let you walk through the rest of this here.
Yeah, I mean, Barber, he gets stuck right in the middle right here. He's got Eddie Smith right behind him trying to pack some air. Look like Barber slipped up the racetrack just ever so slightly right in front of Ryan Pendleton, sent him into the fence, and then Barber just tries to get it off of the fence, loses the truck, may have actually been getting tagged by Pendleton. He slips down, gets into Smith, gets into Gardner. Smith barely, with a little bit of damage, he may have snuck through very good. You see some other guys that jump by. Brandon Evans got by. Joe Yates got by. Jake Ellingson gets by, as well as Charles Fiskey. So some of these guys really using it. I mean, they damn near went down to the crash right there, Blake, trying to miss it. But they can go down there. They can go wherever they can to try to miss what they can, pass, whatever they got to do. But a bunch of drivers getting involved right here at the end right here. About 4 trucks from what I'm seeing. From what the cause is of this race, of this caution. But I mean, that's just typical hard racing. That's nothing that anybody done on purpose right there. It was just Barber tried to slide up. He tried to jump in front of Pendleton, and Pendleton was there just by a smudge. Got him in the right rear, got him in the fence, and then Barber just tried to carry it off of the fence. Ended up Eddie Smith and Gardner was there, and then they just ended up getting into it.
100%. And then, like we said before, with it being a late race yellow or a late race restart, yellows breed yellow. But something I'd like to point out is that, coming off of turn 4, he just got into the fence and trying to get it off the fence, just a little too much angle, I think, is what got that truck back hard to the left. And that's just what happens here with Kansas and just having the trucks barely touch the fence. And once they touch the fence, they tend to suck in. So. And now with this restart will probably be about 5-4 to go, and I'm expecting a little bit more chaos, and hopefully we have green-white checkers, so we might need them.
And from what I'm thinking right now, I think Eddie Smith's actually licking his chops right now, honestly, because, I mean, he's on the fresher tires. He is on the fresher tires. He went down, got 4 fresh tires. He's going to be starting in the 4th spot with Patrick Drabik down on his inside, riding in that 3rd spot right now. And then got Brandon Evans back there as well. I mean, these guys back here, they took them tires. Like I said, they got to be licking their chops right now, Blake.
No, 100%. I mean, with now some of the drivers that were out on old tires, obviously involved in that crash. With that crash happening all the way to the front of the field, I'm surprised not more trucks were involved. But lights are out on the pace truck. I believe we are coming to green this time by. Pace truck will take the hard. No, I think the lights are actually still on the pace truck. I think everyone was just a little chopping at the bit, doubling up a little early.
Yeah, I think they're eager to get this bad boy going right here. I believe we are going to come to the 1 to go right here. And, I mean, Cody McElwain won the race last week at Watkins Glen. We see Trevor McManus right there on that cut line as well, trying to see if he can make it in. Patrick Drabik as well. Eddie Smith doing a fantastic job. Brandon Evans, he's won. Joe Yates, one of those drivers right there at that cut line. He would love to get a good finish here this evening and help his case. Jake Ellingson, he's also following Joe Yates in that playoff. They're right there about at that cut line, so Jake needs a good finish as well tonight, as well as Charles Fiskus. James Goshen, who's going to restart 9th. Like I said, he's already got a win in the bag. He's just trying to pad points, trying to make it to the playoffs. James Kaufman, he'll be in 10th. The rest of the field out here, Alex Cruz. Jeremy Gardner went in there. Looks like he had that fast repair to be able to use, so he will restart 12th. And Ryan Pendleton, Jamie Mullins, and that's the guys that is on the lead lap. A couple of other guys back here, 1 lap down, maybe hoping for a caution later on in the event. Try to see if they can get back on the lead lap and may have something to say about this thing before it is over. But the pace truck, lights is out as Blake mentioned. Here he goes down to the bottom, jumps on pit road. McElwain, McManus, Drabik, Eddie Smith. That's the first 2 rows as the green flag is flying. We are under green once again here at Kansas with 4 laps to go. McElwain down to the bottom, jumps up in front of Trevor McManus. Eddie Smith trying to see if he can get a run on the top side with Patrick Drabik down on the bottom.
And look here at Eddie Smith. I think he's going to get a pretty big run here off of turn 2. With running a little bit higher, but 3 wide. And look at them snaking for the lead down the back straightaway into turn number 3.
McManus, he's going to go to the top. Evans got those fresher tires, jumps down to the bottom. He's going to try to sneak it up to the middle. He's going to go down to the bottom. McElwain stuck in the middle. McManus up top, 3 wide for the lead. Now it's for second as Evans starts to break away. Eddie Smith trying to follow him down on the bottom with Joe Yates down there as well. Patrick Drabik stuck up on the top side, but new leader Brandon Evans with Eddie Smith right behind him as they head off into turn 3.
And here comes Evans. Let's see who's going to have the best run here. Looks like the 9, because he's all the way against the fence here. Oh, he's in the fence. The 9 is in the fence. How is everyone going to merge here on the back stretch or on the front stretch? 1 into the inside grass. The 25 goes around. Still green as of now. 2 to go this time around.
Wow, wow, we got some more wrecking down here. That's Ryan Pendleton getting involved as well. Caution on the Speedway. Hold the phone, Brandon Evans. You was sitting in a pretty good spot right there. I think Eddie Smith might have been sizing him up. But hold the phone. We're going to get a green-white checkered here at Kansas.
And let's take a look back here at what happened. Luckily, we caught this live. Looks like 2 separate things. A little bit of netcode maybe with the green truck, but the 25 gets spun to the infield grass. That was not our cause of yellow, but nearly dug in and started flipping nearly. But it looks like the 25 will come away with, luckily, almost probably no damage on that truck, and he'll have another shot here. But going into 1 was our big wreck here and our cause of yellow. The 9 truck, the 13, I believe that is, and the 42 all involved. See here, the 9, does he go back up the track? I don't believe he does. So all these trucks might have been able to get away with minimum damage.
And we're going to see it right here. I mean, Pendleton in the 23, he had a run right there. I mean,
not
Cruz
just a run, he is hauling.
He's hauling the mail right here, stuck in the middle, looking 4 wide right here at the stripe. And then you see Pendleton, he sneaks it in there, and I don't think McManus knew that he was there. I mean, Pendleton just had such a run in the middle. McManus tried to jump up because he knew Gardner was coming down on the bottom side. He tried to jump up. Pendleton was there. McManus goes around Garner. Wow, I mean, he's basically been in some bad spots. I mean, he's had a fast truck tonight, but he's been in some very bad spots. So we see, looks like Alex Cruz going down pit road. Now, that's Trevor McManus. Both their trucks kind of looking a little bit similar. Sorry about that. But Trevor McManus goes down. Cody McElwain, he's going to ease it down pit road right here. As some of these guys, they probably saw right here with the fresher tires. They're staying in pits for a good bit right here.
Looks like
Maybe
a little
going
bit of
in.
damage.
They may have 4 fresh tires to be able to jump back out there, see if they can try to get back up here. But Brandon Evans leads with Eddie Smith. This is gonna be a big restart right here. These guys got 2 green-white checkered finish, or 2 green-white checkers to try to settle it tonight.
And man, going through the driver's mind here, you're just trying to focus on all the shifts. Where are you going to run the first lap? Going back up to through the gears. Are you going to run on the bottom? I think everyone's going to run on the bottom because you're not going quick enough to really run the top and get that run. You're thinking about the shortest way around, going through 1 and 2 the first time. I think going into 3 and 4, that's where you're going to see trucks start to fan out for the first time on that first lap. After that, I think going back into 1, everyone's going to be back along the fence trying to generate that run.
It's going to be a fantastic finish right here, Blake. I mean, I'm on the edge of my seat right now. I'm sure everybody at home is on the edge of their seats, much like the drivers is in their sim rigs. I bet you they're on the edge of their seats wanting to see how this bad boy plays out right here. Pace light's still on in the truck. Go ahead and try to give you another run through, at least with the top 10. Brandon Evans leads with Eddie Smith, who started 10th. He's up 2nd. Evans started on the pole. That's where he is riding right now. How about Joe Yates sitting in 3rd? As I mentioned, one of those guys on that cut line really needs a good finish tonight. He may be looking to possibly steal one right here from Evans and Eddie Smith. Patrick Drabick, he'll be on the outside of row number 2 up there in 4th. Charles Fiskus will be on the bottom of row number 3. Jake Ellingson will be on the top of row 3 and 6. James Goshen, 17th to 7th, up 10 spots. Fantastic run for that 85 truck. And then you got Alex Cruz. He is started 16th. He will be 8th. And Ryan Pendleton and Jeremy Gardner still out there soldiering on, if you will, riding in that top 10 right now.
And that's dedication there, just continuing to run. Obviously, with the green white checkers, we might get up to 2 more attempts at this, or 1 more attempt at this restart, say if things go awry. Hopefully not. From Barney the Flagman this time by, we're going to be getting the 1 to go signal. Lights out on the pace truck, lights out all the way around this 1.5 mile super speedway. And we are about to witness, I think, one of the craziest restarts of the night.
It's go time right here, Blake. I mean, it's go time, everybody. I mean, this is for the money right here. This is for a shot to get into the playoffs. Some of these guys that's already won a race this season, they're game on. Like I said, they're just trying to pad their points, much like Brandon Evans, much like Jeremy Gardner, a couple of other drivers, but other guys like Jake Ellingson, other guys like Eddie Smith, Joe Yates, those guys, this is their opportunity to go ahead and lock themselves into the playoffs, not have to worry about points, not have to worry about that cut line. They will be safely above that cut line going into the, I guess you could say, the craziness that is Atlanta Motor Speedway that we will see next week. That will be a fantastic race. But we got 3 laps left to settle it here. Hopefully, this will be the only attempt at a green-white checker. Jake Ellingson all the way up into Patrick Drabick. He's ready to go back there in that 3rd lane as the pace truck pulls off. Evans down on the bottom. Eddie Smith up top waiting for Barney to wave that flag. He is waving it as Evans gets a fantastic restart. Eddie Smith jumps down right in front of Joe Yates. They will try to chase him down as they go into turn 1.
And first time here through turns 1 and 2. We're going to see drivers running the bottom, just trying to run that quickest way around, try to build up that momentum. Right now, we're only probably getting up to high gear roughly right about now. And now here comes everyone starting to fan out, and we're going to see trucks running the top here.
Joe Yates, the first one to jump up to the top side. Evans down on the bottom, still trying to hold it down. Looks like everybody's going to keep it clean as we are going to come off of turn 4, take the white flag. Evans, big time jump out in the front, but Joe Yates going to slip past Eddie Smith on this top side, try to see if he can get a run. Smith down on the bottom. Right behind them, they're looking 3 wide with James Goshen up here trying to get a hold of Patrick Drabig, with Jake Ellingson down on the bottom as well. But up front, Yates going to get one final shot, try to see if he can get to him. Not able to do it for the second time this season. The winner in the McConey Setup Shop Chevrolet, Brandon Evans, gets the win here at Kansas. Joe Yates gets second. Eddie Smith will get third. James Goshen will get fourth. And Patrick Drabik, he rounds out the top 5. The rest of the top 10, Jake Ellingson, Jeremy Gardner, Charles Fiskus, James Kaufman, and Alex Cruz. What a finish here at Kansas Speedway.
Oh my goodness, I'm still trying to catch my breath. That was quite a finish, and further back in the field, 3-4 wide at times. Drivers paying, showing their appreciation to the race winner. What a show, and a little bit of extracurricular activities here on the pit lane. But what a finish, what a race. Strategy, we had carnage, we had a little bit of everything tonight.
And Brandon Evans burning it down on the front straightaway. Shout out to Parker McCollum for burning it down. Obviously, the song was way different than what he is doing right now on the front stretch, but is burning it down on the front straightaway. As looks like we're going to try to go ahead and take a quick break after we get these results in right here. Brandon Evans gets the win. Joe Yates second. Eddie Smith will get third. James Goshen, very good run for him, 17th up to 4th. Patrick Drabik, he will finish 5th. Jake Ellingson needed a run tonight. He got a good run, finishing 6th. That's going to help him out going into Atlanta next week. Jeremy Garner will get 7th. Charles Fiskus will get 8th. James Kaufman 9th, and Alex Cruz rounds out the top 10. To you, Blake.
Jamie Mullins will finish P11. Ryan Pillington will get 12th. Trevor McGinnis will get 13th. John Anthony will get 14th. Mick Levinger will finish 2 laps down here and finish in the 15th position. Ryan Perkins will finish 2 laps down as well, finishing in 16th position. Daniel McNeil will finish 3 laps down in 17th position. Cody McLean will finish 6 laps down in 18th position. Robert Barber will finish in P19, 14 down. 58 of Doug Ellingson will finish in 20th, 24 down. Scott Famosa will finish in 21st position, 60 laps off the pace.
And folks, I did say that we was going to go to a commercial break, but guess what? Nah, we ain't going to make it no commercial break. We already got some guys already in here in the waiting room ready to talk to us. So we're going to bring in the 3rd place guy. We haven't got the winner yet. I guess he's still spraying some champagne down there on the front straightaway. Going to bring in our 3rd place finisher. That's Eddie Smith for the Victoria's Secret Toyota. And Eddie, I mean, we talked about this on the broadcast. Usually you're a guy to usually start at the back. I mean, what was the meaning, I guess you could say, to just going up here and finally qualifying probably for the first time this season?
Yeah, I don't know. Kansas, kind of hard to pass after about 10, 15 laps. So I figured I better start up at least mid-pack. And I really goofed up qualifying. I wanted to start up front, but I guess I didn't know how to do it because I was about a 10th off of the top time. So I ended up around 10th. But I think it worked out. Yeah, I just wanted to try to give myself at least a chance to win this race, and I think it worked out pretty good.
Getting 3rd tonight, and then going into next week, which is the ultimate wild card. I know we talk about Talladega and Daytona, those tracks being a wild card, but Atlanta being the super speedway model, that's going to be a big one right there. That's going to be an ultimate wild card. Obviously looking pretty safe right now in the playoffs. What's your mindset going into Atlanta next week?
I almost made the mistake tonight of caring a little bit too much coming into this race, thinking about, I need to qualify up front. I need to, and I'm over here analyzing when I should move up from the bottom to the top. And I was like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I've been having fun all season I need to keep doing that. So I think next week we should come in and have fun. I mean, this was a fun race. Got a long run there. Was almost, was able to was going to run down maybe Cody for the win there, and if that caution didn't come out. So I think just trying to keep myself from I guess thinking about it too hard and just having fun. I've been having fun all season long. I don't really want to change what I'm doing now because it seems to be working. So we'll go into it feeling pretty confident, and if we get wadded up, we get wadded up, but we're gonna have a big old smile on my face.
Eddie Smith with a smile on his face next weekend, and also and obviously having a big smile on his face here, getting third tonight. And Eddie, before we let you go ahead and give me your shout outs, bud.
Yeah, I just thank Jamie, Pat for what they do. Thank y'all for the great broadcast, and the field for some awesome racing tonight. And yeah, that's it.
Short and sweet. We love it. Eddie Smith getting third, started 10th. Going to bring home a podium tonight, Eddie. Congratulations on the podium finish. We'll see you next week in Atlanta.
See you, fellas.
That was Eddie Smith bringing it home third, doing a fantastic job at that. And Blake, we're going to go ahead and let you see. Are you catching up with the second place finisher? That's that being Joe Yates.
Joe, what a race! I mean, walk me through those final few restarts here, the green white checkers. What was your mindset going into those few?
Man, I was just focused on just doing everything I could to get a good finish. It has been an absolute train wreck of a season to this point, and this race kind of started off going that same way. But I'm like, I told my guys tonight, like, I'm going to turn this around, and with the second place finish, I think I've done that.
No, 100%. You brought up talking to your guys. What was your strategy going into this? Obviously with no stages going into this race, what was your strategy? What laps were you looking at pitting at? What fuel numbers were you trying to achieve throughout this whole run?
I mean, I was mostly just looking at just trying to save those tires. And when I got caught up in that, first wreck of the night, I kind of pit for damage, got fuel, saved the tires. And I'm like, well, from here, it's a one-stop race. So we'll have a set of tires in the bag if, we happen to get lucky and get a caution. And we did, and had to avoid some chaos getting through there. But it was a lot of fun tonight, for sure.
Talk about the chaos. What were some of those big moments for you trying to dodge all those wrecks throughout the night?
I mean, the biggest one was that first restart with the fresh tires. Everybody was 3 wide in front of me, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, looking for a hole, but there was just nowhere to go. And I see those guys, kind of stack up coming off the corner, and I just had to hook the truck to the left and hope nobody was there. And luckily there wasn't, and got through that one. And it kind of put us in a position here to go fight these guys for the win.
Joe, first off, thank you for your time. Great finish. Glad you're turning around this season. Who are some of the people you'd like to thank for this?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank my 2 teammates tonight, Trevor McManus and James Goshen. We were all kind of on different strategies tonight, trying to work things through. And then I also want to shout out my sponsor on the truck there, Progeny Esports. It's an esports organization that is looking at branching into getting some sim racing tournaments and things like that going. And they brought me on board as their driver, so I'm happy to show those colors off and get them good finishes they deserve.
Thank you again, and great run tonight.
Thank you.
That was Joe Yates getting the second place finish, but I think he's actually done with the burnouts. I think he's done with all the champagne that's been flying around all over the place. Brandon Evans. And, Brandon, you wanted to get, I guess you could say, a mid-race interview last week at Watkins Glen. Wasn't able to get it because we was afraid that you was honestly ticked off from what happened at Watkins Glen, but being able to get it here tonight. Brandon, just walk us through your race, bud, because you was at both ends of the spectrum, from the lead when you started all the way to wrecking,
Yep.
and then finally ended up getting the win tonight.
Yeah, man, that was probably the craziest truck race I think I've ever done. Starting out on the pole, I was happy to get that. I want the points, right? I want to get the points. I made sure to push on the first lap, lead one lap so I can get that bonus point, and then tire save. That was my idea. I was just going to tire save as hard as I could because I knew most of them guys started running up top, and I'm like, well, the right front's going to be gone, so there might be an opportunity to claw back. And then I got wadded up in that wreck. That really pissed me off, but it is what it is. So yep, and came down. I had like 4 minutes of damage, so I was like, well, crap, now I got to take my fast repair. So I just chilled and let everybody pit in front of me through the pit cycles. I thought it was odd that folks were pitting at like lap 40 with only 2 sets of tires, but it probably would have worked out. It was gonna work out for Cody there, who I think they pitted in, I don't know, the high 50s. So yeah, I stayed out late hoping for a caution, and then we actually did get it in a good enough time for some of us to come down and get tires and come away with it. So
And, coming from Kansas, obviously with the momentum that this track has, I mean, everybody fanning out all over the place. Going to next week, and Brandon, you know as well as I do, I love where y'all are going next week, going to Atlanta, my home track. I mean, what's your mindset going into that? Because obviously, locked into the playoffs, 2 wins on the season from winning at Indy a couple of weeks ago, and then winning tonight here at Kansas. What's your mindset going into Atlanta? I mean, it's got to be just throw
stay in the
whatever
front.
at the wall and just see if it sticks, right?
Yeah, stay in the front, and believe it or not, save tires because that track will eat them up too. The banking's good, but with the trucks, with how aero sensitive these things are, you're gonna have to save tires too. So I don't know. I need to do some testing and stuff and just kind of figure. I haven't drove a truck there in a while. If it was open setup, I would be much happier because that you can actually build it a little bit more loose. I would imagine the truck's gonna be tight. So yeah, staying in front, trying to get these last bonus points. I haven't had the best truck season this year, so just trying to get all maximized points. That's my thought every week. If I come away with the win, that's great, but got to try to get the pole because that's where it starts. Try to lead a lap, and then just try to stay up front and be there when it counts.
Being up front when it counts, and it counted tonight, getting the win here tonight at Kansas. And Brandon, before we let you go, have you got anybody that you want to thank, bud?
Yeah, I want to thank McConey Setup Shop, the official setup shop of eNASCAR. I appreciate them supporting me. I thank Ugiri Ramen Project in CrossFit Catawba Valley. The good supporters of mine. Thank family and you guys for putting on a great broadcast, man. It's a lot of fun listening to you guys, and you guys put on a really quality a broadcast, and I appreciate that. I know everybody else does too that drives in this league. So great job.
We appreciate you, Brandon, getting the win tonight at Kansas. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you next week in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
That was Brandon Evans. Got the win here tonight as you see some of the replays of the burning it down as I was talking about right there on the front straightaway. And Blake, I mean, go ahead and give us your final thoughts of this race because, I mean, you had everything that you really wanted in this race. You had the wrecks, which, of course, everybody loves wrecks. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, hell, that's why you watch racing. You love to watch wrecks, but you got to see a long green flag run. You got to see green flag pit stops, and then you got to see a fantastic finish at the end.
No, 100%. Like you said, this race had literally everything you could want and then more. I mean, you had, the big wrecks towards the end of the race. You had the wrecks at the beginning of the race. You had the long green flag runs and a ton of different pit strategy, and drivers on different strategies trying to pass each other, and had a little bit of everything, like you said. I mean, just what a race these drivers put on. I mean, just amazing to watch all night long.
Awesome race all night long. And folks, it's going to come down to Atlanta Motor Speedway, one of the tracks that I've been going to for numerous years, obviously right here in my backyard. Not necessarily in my backyard. It's a pretty good drive, and you got to go down I-75 to get there and got to deal with all that traffic. But we will be there. We will be ready to rock and roll next Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time here on the Nazareth 360 Racing Network for the Jam Printing and Promotions Truck Series regular season finale before they get into their playoffs. It's going to be a fantastic one at Atlanta. We cannot wait. We want to thank all the sponsors that have everything to do with this Jam Printing and Promotions, the Goat Locker Racing Series, all of everybody within Nazareth 360, Cody Knott, Brady LaBeouf, all those guys in Nazareth that are allowing us to do this and put on a show for you, the fans that watch it every single week. It's going to be a blast next weekend. Hopefully you'll tune in, as I said, next Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. My name is Jake Reeves with Blake Lothian in the booth, and Dean Biggles was putting on some amazing camera angles for us here tonight. This has been a production of the Nazareth 360 Racing Network. We will see you next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Be safe and have a good week.